We are now going to embark on the journey of percent change. And when we talk about percent change, this really is relative change. It's the same thing. However, in this video, we are going to really deal with differences in percents. And so we're going to set up proportions because it really just is the easiest way, in my opinion. And I try to not do anything too confusing. I try to do stuff that is straightforward, to the point, understandable, and can be applied to everything. So on this first page, we get to kind of the thought process. So when you see percent, hopefully you think out of 100. And when we set up proportions dealing with percents, the percent itself always goes over 100. So when you see 10% less, you've got to think my reference is 100. If I have 10% less, then I have 90, which means in our proportion we would put 90 over 100. And the second one, 25% decrease. Decrease means it's going down. So that's 75% of, or we would put 75 over 100. 30% lower than, well, 30% lower than 100 is 70. So that would be 70 over 100. And if I say 60% less than, that would be 40% of, or 40 over 100. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, things aren't always less, right? Sometimes we have more. Well, if you start at 100 and you have more, you're going to add to it. So 100 plus 10 gives us 110. That's 110 over 100. If I have 18% greater, that's 118, right? Because 100 plus 18, that gives me 118 over 100. If I have a 50% increase, that's 150%, which is 150 over 100. And if I have a 100% increase, that's 200%, which is 200 over 100. So that's kind of what you need to be thinking about when we're doing and setting up these proportions here throughout this video. All right, let's jump into some. All right, as we do these, I am going to use either words or letters to kind of show references in our proportions. So in this first example, rental rates in Gary are 25% more than rental rates in Muncie, where they are $635. Find Gary's rental rates. So we are comparing two cities, Gary and Muncie. I see Gary 25% more. So I know that I have 125 over 100. That's half of my proportion because that talks about our percentage. Now, it says that Gary is the 25% more. So this is Gary, this is Muncie. Now, Muncie, where they are $635, find Gary's rental rates. We don't know what Gary's rates are, but we know that Muncie's are $635. So once you have it set up, we cross multiply. 100x equals 79,375. Divide by 100, and we come up with $793.75, which is the rental rates in Gary. When you're talking about money, you're going to make sure you round to the nearest penny and go from there. All right, number 2, Lafayette's population is 15% less than Bloomington's, which is 82,000. Find Lafayette. Okay, 15% less. Well, if you take 100 and take 15 off of that, you get 85. So Lafayette is 15% less. This is Lafayette. This is Bloomington. So Bloomington's population is 82,000, so that goes on the bottom, and we're finding Lafayette. So we cross multiply. 100x equals 697 with 4 zeros. Divide both sides by 100, and we get 69,700. Makes sense that that number is less than 82,000 because Lafayette has less people than Bloomington. Number 3, Jerry is currently earning $20 an hour at his job. Go, Jerry. It's your birthday. He was just informed that he's getting a 15% increase of his current wages. Woo-hoo! Go, Jerry, go. All right, well, increase, that's up. So if we have 100% and then we increase 15, we're at 115 over 100. So this is what he's making currently. This is with the increase. Well, he's currently earning 20, so 20 goes down here. We're finding his increase. We cross multiply. 100x equals 2,300. Jerry's about to be making $23 an hour. Number 4, the number of hardwired residential phone lines is expected to decrease next year by 18%. Okay, we're decreasing by 18%. So you take 100 minus 18. That gives us 82 over 100. This is next year because it's going to decrease next year. This is this year. Now, it says there were 1.8 million this year. 1.8 million. How many will there be next year? We cross multiply. So 100x equals 147.6. Divide by 100, and there will be that's not a 4. 1.476 million. Make sure you put the million on there because there's the million on that one. You've got to stay consistent. Both numbers in this proportion will have the word million slapped on the end. Number 5, rental rates in Fort Wayne are $687, which is 13.2% less than the rates in Indy. Okay, less. So we take 100 minus 13.2 and we get 86.8 over 100. Now, that's the Fort. Indianapolis is more, right? Fort Wayne is less than Indianapolis. So Fort Wayne is 687. Let's find Indy. We cross multiply. 86.8x equals 68,700. Divide by 86.8 to get x by itself. And rounded to the nearest penny, we have $791.47. Let's go to number 6. Indianapolis has a population of a bunch of people, which is 68.3% less than Chicago. Less. 100, take away 68.3, and I have 31.7 over 100. The top is Indy, the bottom is Chicago. So, I'm going to put Indianapolis population on top where Indy goes, 852, 866, divide by x. We cross multiply, divide by 31.7, and Chicago's got a population of roughly 2,690,429. Make sure you round to the nearest person. In a population, you can't have partials. Even if, people aren't all there, they're still a whole person. All right, number 7. Pete paid $350 for an iPad. Elaine claims that was, so when it says that refers back to the previous. That was 20% more. So that's more. So we're going to have 120 over 100. So this is Pete with his iPad. This is Elaine. More than what she paid for her Samsung. So if Pete paid $350, how much did she pay? Well, cross multiply, divide by 120. And Elaine, round to the nearest penny, will have paid $291.67. Now, part B says, does subtracting 20% of 350 from 350 give the same result? Well, if you're working on this, 20% of 350, 20% is 0.2, of means multiply, that's $70. And if I then take 350 minus 70, I get 280. Are those the same? No. And they're not the same because 120% of is not the same as 80% of. So you got, different things go different ways. You got to make sure you're going the right direction and you're using the right value. This is 120% of what she paid. She didn't pay $350. That's why it doesn't work. So you've got to make sure you're paying attention to the right values at the right time. And that is the end of percent change.